All right, so I'm going to show you how to complete this final project from scratch if you don't want to redo one of your existing projects. And what I'm going to start with is actually the class, and then I will pull it into this main program. So I'm going to create the class in a separate file. So I'm right-clicking on my project, and I'm going to add a class. And I'm going to do like a membership class. It'd be kind of a nice little generic class that can be used for all sorts of different things. And in my class, I'm going to do, I think I'll do a membership identification. So I do ID, and then I'm going to do name, but I'm going to separate out the first name and the last name. So I'm just going to copy paste here. And with our string variables, we either need to set them to string empty or make them nullable. But I don't think I want last name to be nullable, so I'm going to set that to string.empty. And then, let's see, probably a email. And I'll make this one, we need a contact though, so I don't think I'm going to make this nullable. And then I'm going to do a cell number, which I will make nullable. And so that already is 5, but I'm going to do one more. And I don't think I'm going to make this one nullable. This is going to be interest area. So if we have like a membership, it has to be around a particular interest area. So I'm not going to make that one nullable. And actually, I think I'm going to make this a list. Interests. And I'm going to set that equal to new list. Okay. So that looks pretty good. So now I have a class and I've got actually over 5 properties. I need to create the default constructor, public, membership, and this one is where you set everything to null or empty. And so that's fine. ID equals 0. You can see how it's filling it in, which is actually pretty awesome because all I have to do is press tab. Okay, so that's everything. And then I'm actually going to copy this, paste it down here. This is going to be my parameterized constructor. And I think I'm going to put this in the same order that I have my properties, although it really doesn't matter. Okay, so in here, I have to give it the data type. And I have to give the variable a name. So I'm just going to use basically the same names, but I'm going to make them all lowercase. Okay. So then all I have to do is change the assignment statement. I'm going to be really lazy and copy and paste here. That way I don't make a typo. And I'll do this one. Okay, so those are two of the three methods that I have to have. And then the third method, I'm going to do a print. And these are all public properties. So we don't need get or set. We don't need any of that. So I'm going to go ahead and just create a print method. Let's see. Maybe we'll do something with color. What is that? Council color? Um, Foreground? It's not foreground. What is it? Hold on. To look at my cheat sheet here. So in case you're wondering what my cheat sheet is, I just literally Google council color class C sharp, and then I can see what it is that I need to key in. And it is foreground color. And let's see. Okay, so this is what I am looking at. Console.foreground color. Obviously, I'm not going to choose black, but I'm just going to copy it. Console color, dark yellow is an option. There it is. And I'm going to copy this because this will be at the bottom. All right. And I'm going to pause while I'm typing all this in. All right, so I finished my little print method, and this is the minimum that I need in this class. And I'm going to change this to public. Okay. Uh, that will allow it to be inherited from, which you will be learning more about next semester. Okay, and this is in the same namespace as my main method, so I don't need a using statement. And I can literally start using it here. Okay. Let's see, we'll call it, we're going to do a running club. And I think I'm going to do a menu. which means that I'm going to create a little menu method. And so this is going to be a static method. And I think I'm going to have it return an integer. And I'm not going to pass anything to it. Okay. Let's see, one, print, oops, add a member. Okay, I think I'm going to implement this in a list. So I'm also going to allow them to delete a member. Change member. And delete a member. And then we'll have an option to quit. All right, so we're going to do a string input. And then we're going to throw this into a try parse a loop. Not int dot try parse and out. So I'm going to declare that output integer. And I'm calling it selection. So we're going to stay in this loop while we have bad data. And I think I'll end up adding some range choices here too, but I'm just going to start with this. Then all right. It was flagging that because it wasn't nullable. But I made it nullable, but if they just press enter, they are going to end up in this loop. So let's see, I'm going to return the selection, and that takes care of the menu for now. And so then I'm going to have an integer. I'm going to call it choice, and I'm calling menu. So at this point, they've made a choice, and I'm going to put them in a loop. Although I'm going to change that because I don't want it to say doesn't equal 0. So while their choice does not equal a 5. And we're going to put them into a little switch on choice. My closing brace in. And I'm just going to set the structure up here. And I'm going to copy this. That'll be case 2, case 3, 4. And they should not have anything else. However, if they do, You made an invalid selection from the menu. Please try again. So if I don't add a range down here, this will actually catch it. And then after my switch, I need to retrieve another choice from the menu. And I think I'm going to move this into the menu just as like a little introductory paragraph. Okay, so this is my basic structure. And I think I'm going to do all the validating in here. And I have some validation code in other programs that I'm going to copy paste. So hold on, and I'm going to pause. All right, so I've got some generic validation methods. This one is going to validate integer, double, and then string. So I'm going to pass the string input, and then I'm going to run it through the while loop for try parse, and then I'm going to return the valid integer. So here's the same thing, receiving a string, making sure that it can be converted over to double, and this will actually convert it, and then I'm returning the double. And here I am pulling in the string that was passed and making sure that it's not empty or spaces. So those I will be able to use for all of the data that I'm going to be inputting. And so case one up here is print. So I'm going to need to create a little print method. And first, though, I need to know how many members, or I can just actually create a really large list and not ask them. I think I am going to choose to create the large list. So this is a design choice I'm making. And I'm just assuming they don't want more than 100 members in any club or in their running club. And obviously this can be changed. Okay, so I think I'm going to start by creating my objects. All right, so my class is called membership. I'll call that members. Equals new membership size. That is correct. And remember that when it does this, it does not actually instantiate each member. It basically sets this to null, so we have to loop through this. And so, let me see, I'm going to try doing a for each. And so we're going to say member equals new membership. That is going to force it to run through the constructor. It does not like that, so I'm going to just do it in a for loop instead. I was wondering if that would work. Okay, so we're going to do I is less than size, I plus plus. And now we have to index in here. And this is members. All right, so that's going to go through each one of those and instantiate the object. Okay, so we're doing all of that, displaying the menu, and then we can get into processing. And we should also keep track of how many members we have. So members size, right? Or we'll call it a counter. This will keep track of how many we have added. All right. So option one was printing. And we can actually use the print method for this. So I think I'm going to check the member counter. If members counter is greater than 0. And we're just going to assume that this is a print all. In fact, I'm going to change this to print all. And so we'll do another, actually, this should be a for each loop. This should work fine. And then we're going to say member dot print. Okay, that should work fine. That's going to use the member object to call the print method over in our class. Okay, that's if the members counter is greater than 0, and if it's not, then we get a bit of a problem. You need to add members before you try to print them. And perhaps we should print this out in red. All right, so let's go over here, grab our little foreground color. We'll paste it in here, dark red. And then we'll change it back to white down here. Okay. All right, so that actually takes care of printing. So it's super easy when you can use a class method. Now let's go down here. Case 2, I think, was add. So we don't have a class method for adding. And so what I mean, I could create one, but I kind of wanted to leave this generic. So I am going to create a little add method down here. So this is going to be a static method, and I'm going to be passing my members array of class objects. So I'm going to name it add members, and I'm going to pass it members. Okay, and that's flagging because I haven't created this yet. I'm going to create it in a moment. And then 3 was change a member. So change member. And actually, we're going to make them do one at a time. So we'll do add member, change member, and this was delete member. Ooh. It's not fun when it fills things in incorrectly there. Okay. Now, a little trick, and I've shown you guys this before, but just in case you missed it, if you have created these methods, but you haven't coded them yet, and you've got the red, you can actually go down to show, well, actually you can right click and choose quick actions and refactorings. And you can tell it to generate the method. And so what it does is it actually creates the little method header for you. And so you don't have to type that. It did make it private, which is fine. It can be private or public, and it made it static. It needs to be static because we're actually passing the array of objects. We're not using an object to invoke it. And I'm not going to throw an error, so I'm going to get rid of that. We don't have to return anything because we're passing an array, and that's done as a reference. And so the next two are going to be almost identical to this one. It's just the name is going to change a little bit. So I'm actually going to copy this and we'll paste it in twice. And so this is going to be change member, and this is going to be delete member. Okay. Now for the adding, I'm going to pause while I code this up. So as I'm coding this, I realize that I need to pass the members counter. So I got to change these calls just a little bit. And for this one, I'm going to pass it as a reference because I'm going to be increasing it. And these other ones, I don't need to pass it. I'm going to be asking them. Well, actually, let me think how I want to do this. Yeah, I am going to pass it, but I'm not going to pass it as a reference. I want to know how many members we've got, so I know if the number they are adding to change or delete is in the right range. Okay, so here, this is coming in as a reference. I'm just going to call it a counter. Oops, and it is an integer. And here, just an integer counter. And we aren't changing it, so we're not going to bring it in as a reference. Okay. So I need my members indexing in with the counter, setting that equal to, and so this is going to be the members.id. Yep. Okay, so let me see. I'm going to save this. I'm going to have to make an adjustment over here. No. Validate int. I have that. All right, let me get rid of the nullable because it is not liking that. All right, let me pause while I get this working. I know what the problem is. We didn't put static in here. Here we go. Oops, that should go over here. All right, we got the same problem down here, down here. All righty, now we're good. All right, and so I'm pretty sure this will work. I didn't want to do this in 2 steps, so this accomplishes what I want in a single step. Okay. And so basically I'm going to prompt them for each one and then run it through the appropriate validator and store it. So I'm going to be obviously changing these, but this gives me a little structure, and we'll do first name. And so this is going to be first name. And it's not going to like this at first because I'm calling the wrong method over here, but I'm just going to quickly change these. And then we have email. And then we have cell number. And then we're going to have to do something a little different for those interest areas. So this is going to be validate string. I think they're all going to be validate string, actually. Okay. And I just thought of actually another property I want to add. So I'm going to add dues to this because most memberships have dues. Okay. So I'm going to add it to this and add it to this. And I'm going to add it down here. Okay, we can put it up on this line. Ooh, and I'll probably format this thing. Get rid of a couple spaces here. All right. Let's go back over here. Okay. And let me copy this for dues. And dues here. And that is validate double. Okay. Oops, first name I misspelled there. Okay, so all of that looks fine now. And for the list, we need to know, actually, you don't need to know how many. It's already been created over here. And we just, right now it's empty. So really, we just need to start adding to the list. Okay. So we'll do interests, hobbies. Uh, add your interest area or quit to, oops, quit to end. Okay. Do a little loop here. Okay, so do temp interest equals blank string while temp interest doesn't equal quit. Okay, and I'm going to change this to lowercase. To lower. Why do we have that as an option? Okay, let me look this up. Okay, I think I did that right, but I think the S has to be a capital. Let me just put something in here. Temp interest. String dot to lower. Oh, okay, I got it. We have to do, there we go. Ooh, let's spell it right. There we go. That is what we need. All right, so that's converting whatever they type into lowercase. Okay, now to end interest. Oops. So not right. And I think I'm just going to do like a question mark because they know what they're entering, so I don't have to prompt them again. Okay, so then we're going to do read line if, then we'll do a continue. Otherwise, we are going to do a members counter dot interests. There we go, dot add. It's filling it in for us, which is awesome because we need to add it to our list. All right, and we probably should run this through the validate on the string. That will ensure that we don't have a null. Okay, that should work. And then once we're done with all of this, we do need to increase the counter. Okay. So that should work for adding. Let me save this. Changing and deleting are going to be similar because we have to find the member that they want to change or delete. So so that logic is going to be the same. So I'm going to go ahead and create another little static method. And this is going to be returning an integer. And so this is going to be find member. And we don't really, I guess we have to, yeah, we do need the counter. Okay. And member. Okay. I'm going to pause while I'm coding all this out. All right, so this little find member has them entering a member number between 1 and the counter. And then we read in their number and throw it through the validation so that it's actually a valid integer. And then we have a little check here to make sure that it is in the correct range. So if it's less than 0 or it's greater than the counter, we have a problem. It's out of range. So then we tell them that and we read in another one. So we've got to run it through the validate again. But once we get through this, we know it's a valid number, it's an integer, and we subtract 1 because when we index into the array, the index starts at 0. So we subtract 1 and then we return the number. And these are the two methods that we're going to be calling find member from. So for this one, actually, I think I'm just going to call find member. Okay. I'm going to do a call find member first. And so that's going to be passing along members and the counter. And that is retrieving an integer index number. Okay. And then we need to verify that they want to change the value. Change. I'm going to have to put a $sign in here, but we are going to do members sub index number dot first name dot last name. Put the dollar in here, and then we'll put our semicolon in. So this is going to be character. Well, actually, I'll do a string so I can validate it. Equals validate string. There we go. If and then we better tell them what to type. All right. So I think what we'll do, we're not going to let them change the ID. And most people don't change their first name. So we're going to allow them to change their last name or the dues. Email cell. And then we can go through interests and hobbies. Okay, dues, email cell. So I think what we're going to do with the current interests and hobbies is we're just going to clear them out before we add to them. Okay, and I believe that command is clear. So okay, so it is members subcounter dot interests dot clear. Okay, and then they can add this new list. All right, that takes care of this. And then down at the bottom, we are going to tell them that the information has been updated. Information. All right. So the delete is actually going to be way simpler than this. We're going to start it with this same kind of logic. So I'm going to copy that. We need to find the member they want to delete and then say, do you want to delete? Yes, to continue. If the answer is yes, then we are just going to basically blank everything out. And I wonder if it'll let us run it through the constructor. Well, I'll just do it manually. All right, so to blank all of this stuff out, it's going to be members counter, or no, index number. That's we don't want to delete the wrong one. Okay, so it's going to be most of these are going to end up being a blank. This is going to impact our printing though. So I'm going to have to tweak our print method or tweak our call to the print method. All right, so we got first name, that's a string, last name, email, cell phone, and this is going to be dues. And, okay, interests is the other one we have to get rid of. Clear. And we're gonna leave the ID alone. And we made last name required. So that is what we're going to check before we print. We're going to make sure that the last name is filled in. Okay. And then at the bottom here, the membership information has been deleted. Alrighty. And we're done with that. Okay. So the only other thing, so what this is going to do is it's going to empty out some of the rows in the array, but it's going to leave the ID. Um, and so, I mean, we'd probably have another program or a method that would kind of look for those empties and reshuffle or rewrite the array. But we are just going to leave them empty for now. All right, so this is going to change just a little bit. I don't think we can do a for each anymore, because we're going to have to actually look for those empty people. Okay. I is less than the counter. Is that what we called it? Members counter. I plus plus. Okay, so this is our members array, sub I. And we're only going to call the print if the members sub I dot last name doesn't equal blank. Okay. So then we won't get empty stuff printed out. Okay. And the only other thing I might want to do is do a little color in some of these. Let's see. Your member, the new member has been added. Change it back to white. We'll change it back to white. And actually, I like green here better than red. And then for deleting, we're going to do red. Or actually, we'll do green because they wanted to delete it. White. Okay. All right, I'm going to run a build. Let me save everything. Okay, that worked. Let's see how this works. Okay, I got a little space there that I'm going to fix. We'll try our error handling. Okay, that's good. ID. Dues. Email. Cell number. Okay. Okay, add your interest or how it is. Okay, I think there might be a problem here though. So let's see, bowling. Yeah, okay. The problem is Okay, let's fix this. I don't like that space. I am picky. Okay. So for our ad, we should not have to type anything there. All right, I'm going to take this prompt out. Quit to end. All right, I think that's going to work. Do we need to change this? Yep, we have to change our change. And so we'll say hobby, quit to end. Okay. All right, let's save all of this. And I think in our delete, we can delete the ID. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in here. And that is index, lowercase, ID equals 0. Okay, let's save all of this. And since the ID is now 0, we can just check the ID. Doesn't equal 0. Okay. Let's run it again. Okay, so let's add. Dues. Oops. Hobby, quit to end, bowling, barbecue, eating, quit. The new member has been added. Fantastic. Let's do a print. All right. I don't want the dollar there, so we'll take that out. Maybe add some more lines and a blank line above that, but that actually looks pretty good. Let's see if we can change that one. Number between 1 and 1. Yes. Last name. Rubble. Dues. Should probably let them change the first name too. 250. Email. Quarry.net. Oops. Hobby. Bowling. What? Print. All right, so as long as I'm looking at this, I'm going to go over here. Oops. Don't really want that at that point. Maybe we'll just do some spaces in here. Let's do a console.write line above it. We'll do a console dot write line below it. Okay. And the other thing didn't like was in the delete or in the change. We are going to let them change the first name. Okay, and then I'm going to copy this. Okay, so let's save. Stop this one, and we'll run it one more time. So it should still come back with that error. It does on change a member. 1 and 0. Okay, so yeah, I need to put a little check in there. Enter a number between 1 and 0. That's kind of funny. All right. So we need to make sure that they've added a member before they try to change a member. And we can just kind of copy this part down here for the else. Before you try to change them. And then we're going to do something very similar down here for the delete. So let's do this part. And then we'll copy all of this. You need to add members before you try to delete them. All right. All right, let's run this again. So now, if we try to do 3 or a 4 or a 1, it won't let us until we add, which is exactly what we want. Hobby. Okay. I'm gonna make Wilma a track star. Let's see, what else does Wilma like to do? Shot put. Let's see. Weight training. Reading. Now we'll quit. All right, let's add another one. Red. Dues. Okay, and we'll give him a cell number. Hobby bowling. Barbecue. And we'll make him a gamer. Quit. All right, so let's do a print. Okay, that's not too bad. Let's try to do a change. 1 and 2. Let's change number 2. Yes. We'll change him to Barney. There's cell number. Hobby. We'll just do bowling. Quit. Let's see. That did not change. Interesting. Seems to be a problem with our change. And let's see if the delete works. Yes. Delete worked. All right, so we got a problem with our change. Okay, so why is that not working? It should be the right index number. Um, well, we did subtract one from it though. Where's that little find method? We do subtract one from it, so it should be the right number. And it's working here, but it's not working here. Oh, stupid me. Okay, here. Oh, we are indexing in with the wrong number. This is why you test stuff. Oop, okay. It will work now. All righty. All right, so we pretty much tested everything except now we've got to test the change we made to change a member. So let's add a person. Dues. It's a lot of dues. Okay. Oop. Well, I'm going to change it anyway, so we can just put junk in here. Bowling. Quit. And let's change. I'm changing number 1. Yes, we want to change that one. Fred. Make this Barney. Dues. Phone number. Hobby bowling. Track ball. Which let's print it. And that did work. Yay. Okay. Let's quit. Okie doke. So this is done. Ended up being a little more involved than I thought, but this little class, because it is generic, can literally be used for any type of membership. And this was the implementation of that class.